Welcome back everyone, John Wilson, XS Sights, and here I want to show you a brand new product we have just developed. I'm using my hands to zoom in on it because it is very tiny, but this one is for all you shotgun lovers out there. We've neglected shotguns in the past, well now we have a new product for you. This is our standard dot for vent rib shotguns, and it will be a universal kit. It'll have different threaded posts that you can put in depending on what gun you have. A lot of people, myself included, the first gun that they'll ever own is a shotgun. Rule number one for gun owners, always make sure your gun is safe. My favorite thing about shotguns is they are the easiest gun to get into guns with, in my opinion. They're incredibly simple, easy design, ammo's not very expensive, very versatile. You can hunt with them, you can shoot clay with them. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. And two, they're typically not as much money as a lot of your other guns. I mean, this one right here obviously is the top of the line. You gotta have just the very best for filming videos, but most of your shotguns around in the $300 to $400 range, you can get a very good pump action. Good for home defense. I mean, they are just all around solid guns, and they run and they work. My favorite thing about shotgun people too is that they never clean their guns, myself included, and a dirty shotgun still works. So as shotguns will be a lot of people's first gun they ever own, they may not have specialty equipment just for working on guns. What I have here in front of me is an XS sight pusher that I will be modifying to be a desktop vise. Here we have a professionally installed vise that we use, 6-inch jaws. I mean, this thing is heavy duty. I would be using this, but for today's purposes, I want to show you how easy it is to install these sights. Now, even if you don't have a desktop vise or a stand-in desktop vise, you can have a friend, your friend Billy Jim, you know, he loves guns, and he'll come over and he'll hold this thing up while you do this install. I today don't have a friend Billy Jim, so I will be making my own table vise. Other things you'll need, we have black-handled needle nose toothless pliers, and then next to it we got the same thing with just shorter jaws. We have just a simple hammer. Ours is a brass or nylon hammer, but you can use a metal hammer as well. And here we have a nylon punch. We like nylon because it won't scratch your gun too bad, if at all. So over here I'm getting my modified table vise ready. I'm going to want to hold the barrel of my gun where I have enough room to work out here, and then I'm going to use my vise to clamp it, and you just want to ever so gently clamp it. So now I've got it locked in. You see my hands are completely taken away. This is all you need to do this install. Provided in your package with this will be a tube of Loctite. And make sure you give it a little bit of a shake. Another thing you want to do is make sure that after you remove your old bead, that you clean best you can. Depending on what gun you have, you'll have, I mean, there's a variety of shotgun sights. You'll see them long, made out of fiber optics. You'll have them short. There'll be just a little post sticking up. You have to refer to your own specific shotgun for exactly what you need to do to remove the old bead. But there will be a threaded post at the front that you can then take your post out of the universal kit to make sure it fits. So before you Loctite anything, take your bead and make sure it screws down in the hole. And if you got big meaty hands, you will hate this part, but I can assure you it is possible. The bead screwed all the way down, there were no issues. Now I'm going to remove it because I know I have the right bead. What I want to do is take my Loctite. I want to give a dab on the threads. Just a note, if you use a little bit extra, it'll be okay because you will be Loctiting the post as well. But just one little dab all the way around. and then reinstall your bead. If your gun requires the M2.6 threads, also too, you can just dab a tiny bit on the gun itself. The threads on this are so tiny that most of it I could feel wiped off on my gloves when I was trying to screw it back on. Here is where your teethless pinchers come in. If you're not too worried about how it looks, you can use pliers that have teeth on them. You want to just give it a minor turn. There will be some flats cut on your bead, and you want to just ever so slightly twist it past hand tight. I went about between 1/4 and 1/8 of a turn. Those of you know fractions, that's 3/16. Next, you want to get your hammer and punch and your sight. Now, here's the important part of this. You want to make sure you get Loctite on your post. When you install this sight, it's called underclocking. You don't want to install it perfectly straight up and down. You want to install it about 5 degrees before perfect. Righty-tighty, so you want to be 5 degrees towards the right hand side. So after you hammer it down, you'll give it just a tiny bit of a twist. You can take your nylon punch. You can even use a square piece of wood. You pretty much want anything softer than steel. You're going to just set it on top. You're going to give it one good tap. So now if you'll see, your sight will be fully seated against the vent rib. That's what you want. What you've done is now smash it down on the post. These are one install, one use only, so you will need a new post if you want to move this sight to a new gun, or if you get new sights, you'll need to use the new post. You still have the sight underclocked slightly, so here's where you want to come in and just turn it straight. So now I've got it straight. I want to look, make sure I'm fully seated. I've got Loctite. I'm going to let it sit for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to clean up the excess Loctite and then give it the finger test. So one thing you want to do is clean up your Loctite. I'm just using a simple paper towel, giving it some dabs. Other products that we found on the market that we were quite surprised by, they have magnetic shotgun sights that you stick on the front of your shotgun with a magnet. And they have, obviously, the fiber optics ones. There's a great array of products for shotgun sights. And in a minute, I'll show you why this is my favorite. But we want to do the finger test. So if you can pull it off with your finger before your Loctite is fully cured, then you had an install issue. So here I'm grabbing it. I even have gloves so I get better grab. And I cannot remove it. When you're doing this, make sure you don't loosen it, because what you'll do is you'll just loosen your threads off of your vent rib. So your threads are tight, and now you're tight to your posts. Another thing when you do this underclock and then twist is you're giving your threads one little extra bit of force to hold itself in the gun. So we didn't tighten it very hard with the straight drawed pliers, as we waited until we did this clocking to give it that last little bit of torque. Some of the other products that we found that people use, the magnetic one was the best, but I mean most of it is just super cheap. Basically, people use them and they're so cheap that if they fly off, they're not even worried about it. You know, people lose their sights all the time, duck hunting, walk by, banging on something. I mean, if you're using a magnetic sight and you shoot the good duck rounds, your sight will fly off. Our other design for non-vent rib shotguns. Told you shotguns are tough. Our other design that we have, you have to actually epoxy on for non-vent rib shotguns. So if you have a non-vent rib shotgun, you can find that product on our website. And now that we have it clean, Here's my favorite feature. If you look down the gun, so you imagine you're out with this gun in the sunlight. You know, your fiber optic sights only work if there's sunlight, because they take the light and channel it. With our Ember technology, we actually store the light so that you can use it later. So you're walking, your sight is being charged by the sunlight, and then you get in your duck blind. But what do you need? You need a little bit of light so you can see that front sight easier.
Okay.
So one sight that's on the market that's popular with a lot of manufacturers that's similar to this one is the Bradley sight. The issue with the Bradley sight is they require a special kind of file so that you can clock the sight perfectly. What I mean by that is your threads will start at a certain angle relative to where your eye sees, and you have to manufacture the sight and the threads in the barrel to be exactly the same starting position, or what they do is they file the underside of the sight. So this is a sight that you can install, no filing needed. So as you saw earlier in our install, all it requires is simply punch and a hammer. So being a shotgun enthusiast, this is everyone's dream shotgun. Very well made, very beautiful. You talk about things like inspiration. This shotgun inspired us at XS Sights to try and do better. This right here is a lot of people's dream gun, your perfect clay shooter. It's what everyone would want as if they had a top of the line gun. Maybe not this specific model, but you know, over under, gold trigger. I mean, this is everyone's aspiration. So you have a really nice gun. This is a Citori, and it has just the most simple aiming system on it you can imagine. We were inspired at XS Sights to upgrade this right here for everyone who has a top of the line gun. This is what you would find if you went out to a random person and they were sitting in the duck blind. They'd be using a gun almost exactly like this one. This one may be a little more high end than most, but you would hunt dusk with this. The one thing we did was we just went on the internet and we ordered a random set of sights. Just picked one that'll fit the gun and bought them. And so here you can see a perfect example of what we mean when we say you have to clock a sight. As this sight, the threads on the sight do not line up with the threads in the gun. So I have this screwed all the way down and tight, and it is overclocked. So obviously this is no good for hunting. You would need the sight to be positioned like this. But now your sight is loose, so the only thing you could do is to file the bottom of the sight so that you could turn it farther to line it up with your eye. Also, too, you need a special kind of circular file to clock these properly. So this is one of the problems we're trying to solve with our standard dot vent rib universal kit, making it easier for the customer to install. Everybody loves these fiber optic sights when the lights are on, but most of your duck hunting, as far as I know, is done early in the morning or right before dark. So one of the issues you have when the lights go out is the fiber optic doesn't work. Unlike the Ember technology that XS Sights has developed, which stores your light and then gives it to you when you need it. Thank you for watching our standard dot vent rib shotgun front install. For new products, you can sign up for our newsletter. This will let you know when they go live and I'll also inform you of any sales we have coming up. Thank you.